Good evening. I'd like to introduce you to the Royal Society of Word Manglers by appointment to Her Malady the Queer. Now, the sobriety is well established. In fact, its fornication was some 5 years ago, and this is a sobriety cremated to assist those who find words difficult. Now, to become a mumbler, you need to be very well versed in the Einfart of Jumbo Mumbo. This is because the sobriety is for peapods who have to canoe up Ship Creek without a puddle, because they cannot slay worms properly, and their grandma is hopeless too. Now, firstly, I'd like to seduce you to some of the more hysterically funny and abusing membranes in the sobriety. We were recently entertained by a group of barbarians from southern Germany. They were yodeling and playing with their huge Alpine horns. Other pissy pants from the Vaterland included Mrs. Murky, the German Chancellor. She was wearing an October vest and was yodeling amongst the lead hose pipes on the prance floor. Then along came the Italian skinhead, Burlesque Tony. He had driven up in his alpha male Romeo and promptly latched on to two very vice ladies and got them so drunk they bladdered their stockings. Now, Burly Tony said he'd suffered severe burns on holiday when he went to Mount Etna. Etna slapped his face and said he should stick to well-boiled icicles when riding dikes. Some field mouse yankers from the USA visited, and these included Al Gore, the bullfighter, and Franklin D. Ruffenfeld. He was a sobbing builder. And equally upsetting was the actor, George Mooney. He stood at the bar, down in shorts, and giving barefaced cheek, as well as nicking his pose. And from the Emerald Isle came the famous and venereal writer, Oscar Wildeman. He readily took up the rear on the prance floor whilst doing an Irish gigolo. Now, for film buffs of the silver screen, the sobriety has a small sinister, and here one can watch actors like Bumpty Hogwarts and Clattering Heartburn, who both feet soared in the black and white filth called African Queer, and this was good enough to get them a bathtub aboard. In our live show, one very lewd, slinky American woman appeared, and although Miss Slinky was unemployed, she'd been to the local sob centre, and there Ian Duncan Crisps accessed her special needs and awarded her a huge not-seeker's allowance. She did apparently turn down one job that seemed to suit her talents, and this was working for British Waterways Canal System as chief cockleaper. Now, Miss Slinky lectured everyone on how she'd seen a pervert in the New York newspaper. This adverb was looking for someone with a sweetened genital disposition, someone who could jerk in the oval orifice for the resident of the United States. It was a desk job that included holidays, in-house athletic events, and a free teasing ticket to the grand final. The resident said he was looking for someone with IT skills, so preferably an infomaniac, to deal with not only his letters, but his man-flail, and also his piling system, which he labelled in, out, returns, and appending. And a dyslexic note he made in his diary said Miss Slinky underwent all the desks and sat at the testes. But sadly it all came to a sticky end. This was due to the resident's heart attacks, bad temper, and his uncontrollable anger. On another very suspicious occasion, the society hosted a grieving Cuban called Fidel Castrato. An accident had occurred when his appearance on the Cuban broadcasting castration was axed. He said it was like a family tragedy to him, as he'd lost both his granddads. And this, he explained, was why he now appeared, dressed as a pirate, waving his knuckles around his undercarnage. He said he'd felt a tremendous wench when he'd lost both of his best friends, and furthermore, without his spectacles, he was now fairly vocal, and so he wouldn't need lasses anymore, and he also added that he didn't want pallbearers at his funeral, as he didn't trust them anymore. Now, every year, TV fans of the Sweeney are absolutely diluted when Jack Regal and Insurgent Carter hold their animal dinner dance at the club. The mistress of ceremonies serves them with some nice screams, and is more unhappy to hold a pleased man's ball. Although by the end of the evil thing he was very tired and came to an abrupt standstill. During the evening, one flat stag fell over, and even dry bollock Jack couldn't lift her, nor could the bouncing dormouse, and he was already suffering with incoming tow rags, druckle naggers, and other criminals, all with very perky masts. But don't be put off. The sobriety is a place where you can ex-lax, sick bag, and enjoy yourself. Just like the yuckness and disgrace the Duke of York. He, after eating apple harlots and blowing his own strumpet, did the hokey-crokey with Wild Bill Hiccup and the Marquis of Bath. And amongst the other imported ghosts was that big Buxton woman Charlie Dimwit, the TV gardener. She was seen in the kitchen with the chef, and he was smelling peas from her garter. Now, Charlie doesn't wear skirts on TV, and you'll only ever see her with a pair of white trousers, a Bristol sprout, and bring home the utter joy of hardening to the general's pubic. In fact, many of the garbling fraternity, seen amongst the vegetables and oral arrangements, were yearning for some hands-on experience, especially after seeing her lovely lily-white buttocks up, and of course her violence. But for some of the more leisurely, older garblers, who don't like to get their taters in too early, there's slow-release Dirty-Liza, and she knows a thing or two about when it's rutting time for their tea cosies. Some longer swerving mumblers include some Steeple from the Perch, and the choirmaster. He has a good minging vice, and as he flung his favourite dong and twanged a few thongs in a pincer movement with the ageing beautician from the Booty Snarler, he caused her to frump in her trolleys. So, do come and groin us for a slapper meal, tenderloin or spotty dick, and other sensually transparent displeases. Remember, there's nothing better than a pint of ale, games of dominatrix, skittish, and shoved happily down the old Queen's head, followed, of course, by a slap-up field. Now, whilst there's some rum goings-on in the sobriety, no one seems to care, not even a group of jovial witnesses, or lay breeders from the local grapple, Anglicans or roaming catheters. One evening the local flasher crept in, and he swung the only two nursery rhymes he knew. Old Mac Fondle's Nad's alarm, and here we go gathering nuts display. So, the bottom line is, if you have wobble with your turds, don't be shy, pull your finger out, have a double of kinks, then head off to do some widow shopping at the local Stony Arts Club. Also, traps can be arranged to whip a lady zoo, and you'll see her sniggering a look to see the gorillas in hand-to-hand warfare. And, whilst you're in the capillary of England, visit the Tower of London. You'll see the ravers and the uniformed wife-beaters. So, in confusion, I hope you're convinced not to let dicky-full worms and dung-twisters get you down. If you join before the end of December, you'll soon be itching to enjoy eczemas at home, with your skinfolk and your ghoul or man-fiends. However, do watch the calories, and don't eat too many jelly babies, bum hugs, boiled sweats, or snarly buggers, especially from the Smothering hall. So, send in your fee on a supplication form, fill in the commissionaire when you arrive. Do watch out for the big girly dormouse.